Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Excited to get on and talk to you guys on this wonderful Thursday morning. Got some good stuff to share. Shelley, I wanted to kind of start things off. I know that me, you, and Craig were going back and forth about the topic today. And, I wanted to kind of start off with us maybe just going over what those initial contacts, just recap real quick, what they look like when we first reach out to somebody.
Yep.
And enthusiasm to show, because maybe you could break that down real quick. I know that last week I did it, so I want to hear your perspective this week, obviously.
So you're talking about the reach out of when we actually, in the initial conversation of how it looks like.
Yep,
so
correct.
when we're reaching out originally, we're basically reaching out and saying, hey, appreciate your business, to see the amount of business you do. Have a ton of respect for you in our industry and what you're doing in the real estate world as far as your experience. I know you've probably already heard about EXP from others, but I just wanted to take a chance and look at it and see from your perspective how it could look for you. I would love for you to meet John Padone. He's one of my business partners, or Craig DePage, and anybody that you feel is valuable, and basically go step by step through that process with them and learn who they are, meet my business partners, see how we could work together, build a better business together. John does a huge amount of production, and he will be able to help you understand EXP is a little bit better and how it can impact your business.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And then I know, Craig, you talked about sending text out, voice text, which I thought was good. So you mentioned that. So can you kind of explain that, what that would kind of look like, basically, when you're trying to reach out to somebody possibly?
Well, I mean, I think there's lots of ways to do it, but obviously picking up the phone and making that initial call and connecting is the most important thing. But some people, they just, in this industry especially, they don't pick up their phone because they're super busy, or if they're not in if you're not in their phone, they may not pick up, and they may wait for a voicemail. But voice text is a good way to do it as well, because they hear your voice, they hear your emotion, your enthusiasm. Obviously you're not going to say the whole entire thing on the text, but you want to create some curiosity and excitement, and that's worked well.
Yeah, what I'm starting to do too is I noticed the other day you mentioned that, which I thought that was a good idea, is I was really uncomfortable on video before, right? I mean, it's just not my thing. Like, I'm not heavy into social media. I know I got to change that this year. But what I did is I thought it's really cool that if you didn't talk to an agent for a long time, or you just want to reach out, is maybe just do a quick 10-second video and be like, hey, Sarah, I was thinking about you today. I got some exciting stuff I want to share with you. If you got a minute, hey, can you give me a call right back, and send the video. Right? And a video pops up and they're like, oh, I got to call John, or I got to see what they want. And then you start that conversation with them. I think that's a good way too, because it's more personal. I try not to get into a lot of detail because I think that hurts the conversation when I'm speaking to an agent. It's just, I want to pique their interest a little bit. So I might ask them, like, how things are going with them, what's going on in their business. And then I'll go into, like, listen, we're doing some amazing things with our other business partners in our organization. And, if I could put you in a position to have you a better value proposition for your business and help you get more deals, get some type of ownership, a great retirement plan. And I don't know if you're paying for health insurance, or possibly low cost health insurance as well. Would you be willing to jump on for 20 minutes and, have a conversation with us of why we're running our business here and what we're doing inside of our organization? So if it's a casual conversation with them, I'm finding that they're more willing to open to talk, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not being aggressive. You're just having that it's just a conversation like you would have with anybody. And I think that a lot of agents feel like, oh my gosh, like they get nervous. Give me one quick second, guys. I'm going to yell at somebody to be quiet here.
While John's away, I think, one of the points he made that I often forget about is the health insurance. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to hyper focus on something, but that's a very important part of a lot of families, and a lot of families don't have access to that. And to have an avenue to take advantage of for health insurance that's competitive is very important. So I think that's a great point that John threw in there.
Yeah, like we just don't know what the reason why I rattle off a couple different things is because I never know what's going to be valuable to them. So I'm hoping that one of those items that I mentioned, they're going to take hold of that and be like, oh, okay, well maybe I'm willing to talk about it. And then at that point we go on and talking about Craig or Shelley, how they're phenomenal business partners of mine, and I would love for them to introduce them. They're such great people, and I think you guys are going to get along great and everything else. So I'm talking about the value proposition, my value proposition with my partners, and the value proposition inside of our organization. So if I can talk about those three things, it's going to pique their interest. Go ahead, Shelley. I'm sorry.
No, one thing I love about having you on this call, particularly, John, is because you can tell who's done this the most. I mean, this guy has done this and he's failed forward just like we all do in anything. And now he's got something that's really natural. Like when I did it, I had to think about it because I don't do this every day. And that was just like putting shining a mirror back on Shelley going, you need to make more conversations for yourself. So I said, do you hear like the difference between when I had to try to do it and when John had to do it? It's much more natural for him. It's much more conversational. It doesn't feel uncomfortable because he's done it so many times. And the other piece that you focus on, John, is their business. I love that too. That's an important piece. I think a lot of us forget that it's not just EXP, it's how their business is going to work inside the company. And then you give them that laundry list or plethora of things that they can focus on that may be important to them. So I think that all of those, I just want to point all those things out to everybody. We all will get better as we do more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Brian came in my office this morning and he's like, I know you're going to love this quote. And he gave me this quote and I just read it off to Shelley really quick. And it really resonated because it's really like the way I feel with the people that are surrounding me. Like Craig and Shelley are great business partners. I have a lot of great business partners that I'm connected to. So think about this when you're talking to an agent, right? You should if you guys want to write this down, enter every relationship with that perspective, with the perspective that that other person is more valuable than you are. And leadership will happen naturally. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here, enter every relationship with the perspective that that other person is more valuable than you are, and leadership will happen naturally. So what that basically means is that if you come off to somebody in a way of like a used car salesman, they're gonna see right through that. Like everybody that I'm connected to, I pray for them to be successful in real estate and to be successful in organization. I pray that they're going to be, by being surrounded from me, that they can grow a better business, right? So I care about them. I want them to succeed and do well. So when you're having those initial conversations with somebody, lean on the partnership. Just don't lean on like, hey, I'm sponsoring you to EXP, because that's not going to grab their attention. They're going to be in business with you because they think that you care about them and add value into their business. And it doesn't mean that you have to be, just because you're doing X amount of deals and you're talking to a top producer, everybody has value in somebody's life in a different way. Mm-hmm. So you want to leverage that. I said this to you guys last week, like I truly believe I'm surrounded by the best real estate business partners in the world. I have access. Another thing is within our organization, Craig and Shelley have done a great job of building such great relationships with EXP's leadership that we have access to people that other people don't have access to. Whether it's a Gene Fredericks, a Brent Go, like we're tied into what's going on with the company from a leadership standpoint. That's huge. So not only are you selling EXP, which is the engine, which is phenomenal, you're selling our organization and you're selling the access, right? Because lions run with lions and we all do great things together. So just think about that. Another thing is too, we talked about goal setting, I think last week, and Brent's really big on this. So I wanted you guys kind of to write this down. So goal setting would be 2, 10, 40. And what that basically means, and just hear me out for a second, is you talk to 2 agents a day, 10 a week, 40 a month. Okay. Now I know some of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot, 2 agents a day. Okay. So then do a 1, 5, 20, but 1 a day, 5 a week, 20 a month. So I just want you to think about this for a second. On a low conversion rate, right? If you do 10% conversion rate and you talk to 40 agents a month, That's 4 agents a month, guys. 4 agents a month that you could be bringing over and changing their lives like you have, that they're changing their lives. So I'm focused on, this is me. I want to speak to 40 agents a month that are excited like I am. And if I pick the right business partners, then we're all going to do the right things. We're going to grow together.
Sure.
Don't be afraid to be told no, because the ones that say yes to you, they're going to help you. You're going to help them change their lives and your lives, and it's going to be fun to grow together. So I've never been afraid to be told no. Listen, I've been told no prospecting. We call 50 people a day, and I get told no, and I get told yes once. That could be a $10,000 check that day I made, right? So don't get hung up on that, because you're going to get a lot of agents that say, no, I'm happy where I am, and they're just not business minded like we are, and just move on, because then you're going to find that one, like a Lindsay Sandoval or somebody that I have in my organization, Kate Murphy, certain people that I'm like, those are the people I want to be around. That's who I want to run with. And again, I'm leaving out a lot of people, because everybody that I'm connected to, I feel like I love being around them. So just think about that. I know that Shelley, and Craig, you guys are into building relationships, and Shelley and Craig are super accessible to us. So that's something that's really important too. Maybe you want to talk about closing out the conversation, Shelley, or just that initial conversation and how we're doing that lately.
Yeah, so we're taking the initial conversation. Where I'm really comfortable is in the conversation once we have them to talk to. So no, it's just because I'm not good at the initial I don't know you call doesn't mean I can't help you. It just means I need to work on that myself. But I do at the end, what we found is that if you can get that next appointment, it's all about the next appointment. Then you have to drive the bus. You can't let the prospect drive the conversation, meaning at the end when you're trying to get the next. So I'm looking for, the whole time we're talking, we're writing down notes about that person, and I'm trying to find some kind of connection on what could be valuable to them that they'd want to have another conversation. So John and I are talking to somebody and say that the next conversation is, I want to show them something of value, whether it be with stock, or like there's a video with Grant Cardone, or there's something, I want you to look at this, and then let's have a conversation next Tuesday. 9 times out of 10, they will do it, because you're leading it. But if you leave it to get off the phone and we don't have that next appointment, it's much harder. I mean, literally you're working 10 times as hard to get that next appointment. So if you can save yourself you already worked hard like John did to get that initial appointment, while you're in the conversation, they are interested. What happens is they get off the phone and they talk themselves out of it, or they have a conversation and they go back to, it's like, think about this. You go to a big event, Brent Cove's on stage, you're so inspired, you're going to be the biggest attractor on earth, and you walk out there and you feel like you're on fire. And then you get in the car and you got to pick your kid up from school, and you've got to do X, Y, and Z, and you just mentally get drained down. Well, that's what happens to our people. They're super excited about EXP. We just have this great conversation, and then they go, I got to buy signs. I got to get business cards. Oh, we got to get a copier. We got to do all these things that seem overwhelming. So we just solve all their problems in the conversation, and we take it to the next level. The next conversation is answering their questions, more clarity, closing the gap on how the transition is going to feel. And we're working on some really great tools for you guys on the transition, because we find that is the piece that is the clincher to get everybody to move over. So we're working on that, so they're shareable and easy, and you guys will be able to transition those people into EXP agents and change their lives.
So I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when Shelley talks, she's so enthusiastic. What I love about Shelley is she'll get on a Zoom and she's bubbly, she's outgoing, she's fun, right? There's excitement there. So think about that too. Also, when you're on that call, or when you're making that initial call, you want to sound excited. For you guys that have watched Brent, he's like a firecracker up on stage. He draws you in with the excitement, right? So just think about that when you're having, your tone of how you're using things and the excitement that you have and great things that are going on in the company, which there are. We were having an issue before, we would have these great calls and then we would just be like, okay, well, we'll look forward to talking. Hey, it was frustrating. So we said, look, we got to change this up, and you get better and better. So we got to set this up. So we've done a good job as like, we've asked a question towards the end on a scale, 1 to 10, how excited are you about the model of what you learned today? And if they come back and say, well, I'm an 8 or I'm a 7 or I'm a 9, say, great. Like, what we're asking questions like, what did you like the most? Well, I liked this, because we don't know until they tell us, right? So say, great. Well, listen, I know we hit you with the fire hose today. There was a lot of information. I'm sure you're going to have some additional questions. Why don't we do this? Why don't we get back on, if today's Thursday, why don't we get back on Monday, and we'll recap a lot of things back on Monday, and we'll answer some of your questions, and you can make a list, and we can dig into this a little bit more deeper for you. Sound fair? Yeah, sure, Shelley, John. Yeah, that's great. Let's do that. So we lock them in. Now we're on that second call. Now it's time for us to close them out. We're not making this into a marathon. So what we've decided to do now is, after we've asked those questions that they have, and we've dug in deeper, and we've already built that relationship, we don't have to do the intro again and everything else. We get to the end, and we could say something to like this is like, wait, listen, we've noticed a lot of our other business partners typically join our organization in EXP within 14 days after reviewing the model on the second time on the call with us. If we can help make this a smooth and easy and comfortable transition, would you be able to make that transition within that period of time? The reason why we want to do that is because, first, we want to know where they're at, right? If they say, well, oh yeah, I could do it in 14 days, cha-ching, we're happy. But if they say, no, I actually need like 30 days, right? Or I need this, then it knows for us, like, when do we have to touch them again? It helps us. Maybe they say we're not ready till May. We just don't know. But what it does is you can notate it. And then if it's depending on who you're speaking to, when there's some new news that comes out about EXP, shoot them a text. Grant Cardone joined Friday. Hey, I wanted to share this with you. I hope you and the family are doing great, right? You just, like Craig says, you keep in contact with them, right, Greg? Like you talked about that, is touching them.
Yeah, utilize the things around you that are happening and don't shove it down their throat, but just say, hey, I didn't know if you saw this. This is some exciting news. Great momentum, great things happening. Can't wait to collaborate. One of the the biggest business coaches in business just joined the company. Looking forward to getting some rock star access again. Those types of things. Keep it simple. Touch.
So that and when we're prospecting for a business, they say the average agent has to touch 5 times before it's converted, usually. So for example, if you're talking to an expired, a FSBO or whatever, they say usually it's 5 times. That's what they teach us, right? So I've learned, and I'm impatient. I mean, Shelley and Craig will tell you this. Like, I don't see why people don't make transitions quicker, because I just look at it. Yeah, I'm ready to go, and let's go. And it literally took me like 15 minutes in the conversation with Craig and Shelley. It's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. That's it. I learned. Let's just go. But not everybody's like me, so I have to look at, if I'm talking to a high C that's very analytical, and I don't do well with that, I have to bite my tongue and be like, okay, listen, you have to get through this because it's just their personality, and just it's a marathon. So, but I also know that if you start building that pipeline, those marathons will start to drop. And I was having some issues with this. I talked to Shelley about this 2 weeks ago, I think. I was like, I don't understand, like, these conversations are going great, and da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, I think, what did you say to me? You said something like, John, it was so funny one night, you said to me, like, when you asked your wife out, did you just go there and ask her and she said yes right away? And I was like, yeah, of course. And she's like, well, Kevin took me a whole year. You need to have patience, okay? So I thought about that, and I was like, I guess she's right, because I wouldn't have had patience for a whole year. That would have drove me crazy.
Like, sorry, I'm so sorry. No, it was funny. You were tired that day, and and I mean, the guy, like, if you know John, he just runs a million miles a minute, and he pours into everybody. But it's so funny because we had that conversation. It was like, I think it was like 8 o'clock at night. We got off a call, and I could tell, like, I could kind of tell he was like, okay, I don't understand why people don't see this. And we had that guy. I said, how long did it take you to go out to get your wife to go out with you? He's like, one time. I was like, what if she would have said no? That's funny.
Again, it was just making us, it made me sit back and think and be like, okay, I have to look at this differently. And just build those relationships, and people will start transitioning. But I will say this, guys, is like, if you don't put a plan in place, right? If you don't write down of what you're going to do per week and do this in threes and find that right business partner to help you out, which I think if you don't do this by yourself, then it's sad, because not only could you be helping your own business out, but you're really helping that other individual out, and they just don't know it. And that's the sad thing, is like, when you speak to these agents and they're like, well, I just like where I am, or I like where I'm like, yes, if you like where you are, I respect that 100%. But if you like it there, I can't even imagine over if you're with us, because you're absolutely going to love it. Right. So there's so much great energy going on inside of our company, and exciting things of all the new technologies we're coming out with, where our company is a forward-thinking company, and the direction we're going, how it could affect their lives and their businesses. So I don't want you guys to think like, oh, well, I don't want to recruit, because if I see somebody that needs help in that's around me in the real estate world, I'm going to help them. Outside of real estate, if I see somebody that needs help, I'm going to help them. You are helping them do better for them, for their lives and their career. It's just that, but they just don't see it until you explain it to them. And that's the sad thing. So you gotta get out of that rhythm and just say, listen, I just got to do this, and set a goal.
And I like that you break down the numbers the way you do, because it's pretty simple. I mean, basically you have to just have a couple conversations every day, or one a day, like you said. And then as you have those conversations, those turn into opportunities, and a little bit of patience, along with that, because not everyone's going to make a decision right away. And sometimes it's just getting them to the right person that speaks their language, that they can relate to, and also making them feel comfortable, getting them the questions answered that they don't understand. Like, how do we work in a virtual world? Am I going to be on an island? And, how do you work without an office? And all the objections we hear all the time. And once you work them through, and we can show you guys, I think we should do like a mock Zoom meeting where we should
do that next week, actually.
Let's do that next week. So next week we'll do a mock, like what it looks like, what the conversation looks like. Maybe we'll take some agent who's newer to the company that just went through this with us. And we'll show them exactly how we take them in the world, the places we go in the world, because as soon as you can eliminate those fears of what they think they're alone, like talking to a broker in charge, knowing what that's going to feel like. And once you can go through that process with them, you're golden.
Yeah, I think you've done a great job, Shelley, because I wasn't doing that before. Like, I loved, like, when you started saying, well, let me show you what this is like. And so you would go in the world, and then you jump from department to department, right? And I think that was so important, even though they say, yeah, I know. And you're like, well, let me just show you anyway. You got it loading in the back area, because they don't know. And then when they go in there and they're like, wow, this is pretty easy, because they're scared of the world, some of them, right? Like, they're like, they don't get it. But if you go in there and show them like how easy it is and accessible, and we're like, listen, you guys went to 3 different departments in 5 minutes, and can you imagine if we had to go into a building, we'd probably spend freaking 2 or 3 hours of our day in there trying to get it, and then you're off running your business. And then you'll go in there and you'll show them workplace and work chat of how we communicate. You'll show them the dashboard, right, of all the toggles and everything we could do, and they have a good visual, because visual is everything.
It is. Right. Kevin always says it's show me. Like, so show me, like, we can talk about something, but until you show somebody what it is, they don't have a full understanding of it. And that kind of made that aha for me, that we talk about it and we understand it. And they'll say, like you said, John, they'll say, oh, well, I know what that is. I've seen the world. I've seen the world. That's what we hear. And then I'm in the background. I'm over there like wizard. And all of a sudden the world pops up. They don't even know they're going to go in the world, even though they said no. Right. And they come support, and then we take them through, and they're like, wow, that's really cool. At the end, they're talking to the people and waving at them on the screen. And it's kind of fun. Craig's seen that.
Well, I think, those are great points, because most people who have not, are not part of this company, when it comes to the world and the technology, they're, like you guys said, they're either scared of it, or they have a thought about it, like because someone else said, oh, that's that silly cartoon world, and they don't know what it's for. But when you bring them in and they see the accessibility and the functionality of it and how fast it happens, and it's like, wow, there's a real person on the other side, and we're actually communicating real information. It's very impressive to them. They light up, and they went from like, oh, this is fun, this is silly, and then they're like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Their whole like mindset changes because it's actually a tool. It's not just a silly cartoon world in their mind, because that's what a lot of other companies try to make it to be, so that they don't look at it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so Shelley also says to them too, like, we'll say like, listen guys, like, look at this, there's 650 full-time employees from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, and we're possibly going to be going 24 hours. So look at the access, like they're all here to service us. And then what I love about going in there is that when you bump into somebody, whether it's the information desk or a broker room, you let them know, like, hey, Stephanie, I got Joe on here. He's thinking about EXP. They are so friendly with them. They help try to sell them for you. So they're like, hey, Joe, how you doing? It's so nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, oh, they're talking to me, and then, so it makes them feel a lot more comfortable, I think. And then it's a visual, right? So then you use that, you say, look how easy it was, right? Look at our dashboard. Look how easy it is. Look how we're traded in the NASDAQ. We're the most transparent real estate company in the world because we're federally regulated. Like, you have to show, look how things are. And guess what? We're doing more deals and more business, smoother and easier, because we have this technology and we leverage these systems.
Yeah.
So if we could put you in that position, if it's an agent that wants to grow and grow a better business, get more deals, get compensated because you and your family deserve that versus giving your money to the franchisee's owner, wouldn't this excite you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, if you break it down in a nice way and have a casual conversation, then they're like, wow, this is so much different than I thought it was. So listen, it's been great for all of our businesses here. We're doing amazing things together. We're doing amazing. We have so many. I know that Craig and Shelley, we got all these amazing things that we want to do for all of us in the organization. And there's going to be so much great stuff that you want to leverage all that too. Like, it's not just you bringing them into the EXP. You're bringing them into our collaboration and what we're doing as a family, that we leverage that engine to grow a better business, per se.
Yeah, it's incredible just watching everybody grow together. And what's really cool is when you get into working together the way that we all level up together and everything. Like, I learn from John all the time, and I'm just grateful to have people like Craig in my life who, yesterday I needed to be rerouted. So, but I'm grateful to have people in my life who are like, running with me, and, it's fun, and all of us get to do it together. So like, lean into us and we will help you. That's our whole purpose and what makes us happy. So, we can help you do more business and help all of you in our impact group, attract an agent, impact your life, impact your family's life. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I love that you said impact your life, because that's what it's about, right? It's about impacting our businesses and our lives together. Real quick, guys. Again, I know we talked about this a few weeks in a row, but just no negative words, like no sponsor. Get that out of your vocabulary. It's business partner. No downline, upline. Change the organization, right? Recruitment, change it to attracting agent to run a better business. And stock, just don't keep saying we have stock. We're learning that a lot lately. People don't understand stock. Like, I'm fascinated, like how many times I've talked to agents, they have no idea what stock is. So just say change the ownership in the company, and then you can explain that later to them and so forth. But that will kind of help out your conversations. And I know that Shelley, did you ever, I think we're going to, I don't know if we put that Word doc up for like that initial conversation thing.
No, I need to do that. I'm sorry, guys.
The initial conversation script, that John had is on the first Rev Up Your Rev Share. It's in the comments section, okay, but we can post it again. I think, yes, you want it. It's good to have a script. You don't want to sound like a robot, obviously, practice it, make it your own.
Correct. Yeah.
If you're on the phone, I mean, I'm not a super excitable person. So, I mean, and I don't do this enough, but stand up and smile when you're on the phone. It makes a difference. And then, you know, touch on some of the things like, you know, I think it was great that John said, you know, touch on several different things because you don't know what their pain point is: health insurance, ownership, collaboration, you know, growing your business to a new level and success. I'd like you to meet one of my business partners, edify them, you know, create a handoff, have a purpose, get the appointment, you know, all of those things. Talk about access was another big one you guys talked about. We have amazing access, and access is what drives success because relationships. And then when you create those relationships, people have strengths. And when you tie those strengths together, you create amazing things. That's why Shelley and I partnered in our business. You take a step back sometimes to run forward, but you can't grow without access and without collaboration.
Say that one more time, Greg. I love that. I just wrote that down. Access drives success.
Yeah, access drives success, and you know, collaboration is what grows relationships and leads to success.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so true. Guys, have a wonderful Thursday. I appreciate all you guys getting on. Craig and Shelley, us doing this on Thursdays together has helped. I've gotten so many texts from everybody saying, "Oh my gosh, that Thursday rev up has helped me a lot with my mindset and everything." So we're going to continue to keep doing this to give everybody support, and let's put those goals down and start focusing on them and all grow together.
10 agents, right? This week between now and next Thursday.
10
or 5, whatever your goal is, do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yep. Let's get ready to rock and roll and put a game plan together. And we're here to support you. And then in the chat bar, if there's any questions, just type them in. We'll answer those after the live or whatever. We'll try to get back on there and answer some of those.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.